Hi all, data recording 24th of July from a very wet, rainy, leaky greenhouse. So yeah, we're approaching August now, we're at the end of July, and usually, touch wood, at this time of the year my garden, generally speaking, is holding its own. Everything's kind of looking probably the best it's going to look. So you're always working towards this pinnacle. We've got through, the winter, we've made it through spring, we're sort of started early summer, now we're sort of in midsummer, and yeah, it's kind of this lull point where I've already plotted ideas of what I want to do in the autumn, but it's too early to do that yet. So I always find August is a funny month, and usually to fill that void I start seed collecting. So anything in spring or early summer that had formed seed heads, so for example lupins, so lupin seed pods will look like this. They're like little furry catkins. Honesty, which most people will be familiar with because it's like the penny plant, I suppose. It looks like pennies. And poppies, and again most people are familiar with poppies. So what I try and do is keep the seed pods somewhere sort of coolish and dry. So generally speaking, you'll know when the seeds are ready because you can hear them rattling. These lupins aren't just ready yet. I would say they're a couple of days off, but I'm too impatient, so I'm just sort of making a go for it. And yeah, that seed pod will crack. You can see there's a couple of seeds inside there, and then I've just been filling them into this little terracotta dish, and the same with the honesty seeds as well, so they're all in there. So I'll probably sow the honesty first. Honesty is a biennial, so we all know what that means. Generally speaking, they don't always flower the first year from sowing. So what I like to do is have them sowing now, and they should be up and through and ready for the autumn, and wherever I want to plant them is where I'll stick them in the autumn, and that means the following year, following spring, they're already in the ground ready to go, and they'll have been self-established. So I'll probably be sowing these now, keeping them in pots, plant them out in October. Done. So the advantage of basically collecting your own seed like this, other than it's free, and if you're like myself and it's August and you're at a loose end, you're not knowing what to do, you can timestamp it. You know here and now how fresh this seed is. It's there, you can package it. You don't have to sow it right away if you don't want to. You can put these into brown paper envelopes, keep them somewhere cool and dry, and they're out of the way, and then whenever you're ready to sow them, you're good to go. Like, I could sow both of these spring next year if I want to, say maybe you're short in pots or something. But when you're buying seeds online or the supermarket or wherever you get seeds from, usually 9 times out of 10 the packet should say when they were collected from the plant. They don't always say that. Sometimes it just depends. I buy seeds from lots of different suppliers, and sometimes I find they don't actually disclose how old the seed is from when you purchase it. Sometimes it comes in plastic as well, which I'm always quite conscious of because maybe it could have sweated inside the plastic, so you don't know the drying out process. So you do know, obviously, if you collect it yourself, it's fresh, it's ready to go, it's from your own garden, so it's probably likely it's already climatized to your conditions. And then as well, if you're like me and you're making your own compost, which I've not fully successfully done yet, but I'm very close to doing so, all of a sudden you could collect your own seed from your own garden, you could have your own compost to sow it in, and all that sort of like bacteria from your garden is all synchronizing together, and you're sort of like you've created like a full ecosystem, a full site, like a full circle, which is really good. You're not introducing anything new into your garden space. Sometimes I find when people buy plants in garden centres, because we're still in a world where garden centres are importing stuff from growers and it's still probably grown with peat and it's not peat-free compost. I would always say to people, if you can mix topsoil from your garden within compost, when you're planting maybe plants that you've sown out, that's fine. But when you buy a plant in the garden centre that's never been mixed with your soil before, sometimes there's a lull, sometimes you can see an immediate setback. The plant looks healthy when you've bought it, it still is healthy, but you've dug a hole, you've put it in the ground, you've done everything you're meant to, you've watered it in, and suddenly you can almost see that there's a stall, because the roots of that plant have to sort of engage with the unusual soil around it that it's never had contact with before. So yeah, if you can grow everything yourself and I mean divisions, I mean seed collection, I mean cuttings, and then you can mix your own topsoil with compost and you can complete that full cycle. You have created a full bubble of bacteria and biomes, and everything is talking to each other, and you'll find you'll actually get better results. You'll find probably this, for example, using both these seeds against the same equivalent shop bought seeds, the results would be both of these would do far better, because you've done it yourself, you've collected it, and it's fresh. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I will always just keep the updates coming, and if you have any comments about this video or you want to ask me anything, drop me a message and I will get back to you. Thank you as always. Bye.